guys, what's up? It's Claudia. I am back. Sorry, it has taken me a second. I started working again and things got a little crazy, just with work and like a lot of stuff's been happening in my life. But I am back and I'm here to do an April wrap up. I read 8 books in April and I am not going to talk about all of them because some of them I started and technically have not finished yet, slash did not finish by the end of April. And I am planning on doing my wrap-ups after this one a little bit different. And instead of at the end of the month, every 5 books that I finish, I will do a wrap-up. I figure that just keeps me being able to make content more consistently, especially since I'm starting work. And it's an easier way I can talk a lot more about those specific books, especially if it's something I'm really excited about. But yeah, I am going to go through the books I read in April, not necessarily in the order I started them, but in the order that I finished them, because I was reading multiple books at the same time throughout the month. The first book I finished was Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire.
Eleanor West's home for wayward children. No solicitations, no visitors, no quests. Children have always disappeared under the right conditions, slipping through the shadows under a bed or at the back of a wardrobe, tumbling down rabbit holes and into old wells and emerging somewhere else. But magical lands have little need for used-up miracle children. Nancy tumbled once, but now she's back. The things she's experienced, they change a person. The children under Miss West's care understand all too well, and each of them is seeking a way back to their own fantasy world. But Nancy's arrival marks a change at the house. There's a darkness just around each corner, and when tragedy strikes, it's up to Nancy and her newfound schoolmates to get to the heart of the matter, no matter the cost.
I read this one as an audiobook, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the narrator. It definitely felt like a younger YA book, but I don't necessarily mind that because it didn't try to do like any like weird slang or anything. I really enjoyed the concept of the school and all of the different worlds and the explanations for like high logic versus high nonsense worlds. Great. I really am looking forward to continuing the series. I am a little bit like, I wish the next book was about Cade and his backstory, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. But I am very much looking forward to reading the rest of that series as soon as I can. Unfortunately, my library only has the audiobook for the first book and none of the rest of them for some reason. So I have to wait till libraries open back up. But, you know, whenever it does get there, I definitely want to read that one. The next book that I finished was Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf.
Mrs. Galloway chronicles a June day in the life of Clarissa Dalloway, a day that is taken up with running minor errands in preparation for a party, and that is punctuated toward the end by the suicide of a young man she has never met.
I started this book in January. This has been a 4-month reading experience for this book. I am so sick of it. It's just long-winded. It is just stream of consciousness, long-winded. It's hard to keep track of what's going on. It's just a tough read. And it's not that it's badly written. It's just more like I can't follow it. I don't know if I'm just not smart enough or not focused enough to follow it, but like I could not get through that. I liked it. It was good. And while I was reading it, I enjoyed it, but I kept like dreading picking it up. Not my favorite. Gave it 3 stars. Probably gonna take a second before I try to read Virginia Woolf again. The next book that I read was The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan.
Percy Jackson is a good kid, but he can't seem to focus on his schoolwork or control his temper. And lately, being away at boarding school is only getting worse. Percy could have sworn his pre-algebra teacher turned into a monster and tried to kill him. When Percy's mom finds out, she knows it's time that he knew the truth about where he came from and that he go to the one place he'll be safe. She sends Percy to Camp Half-Blood, a summer camp for demigods on Long Island, where he learns that the father he never knew is Poseidon, god of the sea. Soon a mystery unfolds, and together with his friends, one a satyr and the other the demigod daughter of Athena, Percy sets out on a quest across the United States to reach the gates of the underworld, located in a recording studio in Hollywood, and prevent a catastrophic war between the gods.
Nostalgia Book Club. It was great. I loved it. I loved The Lightning Thief. I enjoyed that series so much when I was younger. I have not read this book in probably 10 years, but I loved it. I love The Lightning Thief. I'm really surprised by how much of it I remembered, like all these little details that I still remembered 10 years later. Because, you know, there's a lot of books that, like, I read at that point that I don't really remember the best, you know? But I am very surprised by how much I liked it. And not by how much I liked it, but how much I remembered it. I am reading The Sea of Monsters next month, mostly just because I want to keep reading the series. I have the whole series at my parents' house. I just have to go pick them up, and then I'm good. Hold on, the dog wants to be let in. I gained a dog. Oh, maybe not. This is Mary Jane. She's a baby who doesn't want me to film things right now. I'm gonna keep going with Mary Jane here, and we're gonna hope she behaves. So if you hear puppy noises, it is her. The next book I read was The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater.
Every year, Blue Sargent stands next to her clairvoyant mother as the soon-to-be-dead walk past. Blue never sees them, not until this year, when a boy emerges from the dark and speaks directly to her. His name is Gansey, and Blue soon discovers that he is a rich student at Aglenby, the local private school. Blue has a policy of staying away from Aglenby boys. Known as Raven Boys, they can only mean trouble. But Blue is drawn to Gansey in a way that she can't entirely explain. He has it all: family, money, good looks, devoted friends. But he's looking for much more than that. He is on a quest that has encompassed 3 other Raven Boys: Adam, the scholarship student who resents all the privilege around him; Ronan, the fierce soul who ranges from anger to despair; and Noah, the watcher of the 4, who notices many things but says very little. For as long as she can remember, Blue has been warned that she will cause her true love to die. She never thought this would be a problem, but now, as her life becomes caught up in the strange and sinister world of the Raven Boys, she's not so sure anymore.
I read it as an audiobook, and I enjoyed it. It took me a bit to get into. I gave it 4 stars, but it did take me a while to get into it, and I am not 100% sure that I followed everything, and I don't necessarily like that the whole setup for the next book was a plot twist thrown at the end. Like, I don't know, that just feels a little bit cheap to me, but I'm gonna read the rest, at least the next book, and I'll see how I like that. I enjoyed it relatively well. It was a good thing for me to listen to while I went on walks, because I was going a little bit stir crazy this past month, and I would go on like hour-and-a-half long walks, and that was really nice to have that to listen to. The next book I read was Fun Home by Alison Bechdel.
In this graphic memoir, Alison Bechdel charts her fraught relationship with her late father. Distant and exacting, Bruce Bechdel was an English teacher and director of the town funeral home, which Alison and her family referred to as the Fun Home. It was not until college that Alison, who had recently come out as a lesbian, discovered that her father was also gay. A few weeks after this revelation, he was dead, leaving a legacy of mystery for his daughter to solve.
I've read Fun Home before. I read it in high school. I love it. It is great. It is a great queer memoir. I love the musical as well. Definitely very much enjoyed that. I need to re-listen to that. But I loved Fun Home. It was really nice rereading it. I definitely caught a lot more of the literary references that I didn't quite get when I was like 15. Because there's a lot of literature references. She and her dad were both really into literature. And yeah, and I really enjoyed it. It was really great looking at the whole family story. And the art style didn't bother me as much. I remember in high school I didn't like her art style, but I really like it now. So the next book I read was Crescent City / House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas.
Okay, so I think the official description for this book reveals a pretty big spoiler that I personally was unaware of when I went into it, and I think the book is better enjoyed not including that. But basically, you follow Bryce Quinlan, who is half fae, as she joins up with Hunt Athalar, who is essentially the police, to solve a murder that has happened. And many things happened, romance blossoms, etc., etc. I'm sure everyone's heard about this book by now.
Obviously, everyone's been talking about that. I was not planned on reading it this month, but it came off of hold for me at the library. So I read the whole thing in like 2 days. Like, it was so good. It was so good. I ran through it and I was enjoying it, and I was like, okay, this is pretty good. This is okay. And I was waiting for, because everyone kept saying like, oh, the last 150 pages destroy you. But I was reading it on like ebook, so I'm like, I don't know when I'm gonna hit that. I knew when I hit that, it's when I started crying and didn't stop. It was definitely heart-wrenching. There was so much happening. And I loved all of it. I loved Bryce. 10 out of 10. We love a party girl. We love like, Bryce is the exact like character archetype that I love. It's like a character that like seems dumb. Like, that's my shit. I loved the romance. I loved everything. I loved that whole book. It was great. Yeah, loved it. I have so many feelings about it. I tried to look up like fan art and stuff on Tumblr afterwards, and there isn't much out because it's a new book and not everyone's read it. And it's so good. Yeah. And the last book I read for April was Arusha and the End of Time by Roshani Chokshi.
12-year-old Arusha has a tendency to stretch the truth in order to fit in at school. While her classmates are jetting off to family vacations in exotic locales, she'll be spending her autumn break at home, in the Museum of Ancient Indian Art and Culture, waiting for her mom to return from her latest archaeological trip. Is it any wonder that Aru makes up stories about being royalty, traveling to Paris, and having a chauffeur? One day, 3 schoolmates show up at Aru's doorstep to catch her in a lie. They don't believe her claim that the museum's lamp of Brada is cursed, and they dare Aru to prove it. Just a quick light hour, thanks, and then she can get herself out of this mess and never ever fib again. But lighting the lamp has dire consequences. She unwittingly frees the sleeper, an ancient demon whose duty it is to wake the god of destruction. Her classmates and beloved mother are frozen in time, and it's up to Ara to save them. The only way to stop the demon is to find the reincarnations of the 5 legendary Pandava brothers, protagonists of the Hindu epic poem, the Mahabharata, and journey through the kingdom of death. But how is one girl in Spider-Man pajamas supposed to do all that?
It is a middle grade, and I really enjoyed it. When I went, my parents actually had the book at their house, and I went pick it up. My 13-year-old brother gave it a ringing endorsement, and he was right. I very much enjoyed it. It obviously felt very young, and a lot of the humor in it was, you know, not my sense of humor as a 23-year-old, but it's something I know I would have appreciated at that age. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm very much looking forward to reading the sequels. But yeah, that is all the books that I finished in April. The 2 others that I started were The White Album by Joan Didion, which is a series of essays, and then also The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Like I said, I started those, but I have not finished them, and they will be the first 2 books in my 5 books at a time wrap-ups. So yeah, I thank you guys so much for watching today. What did you guys read in April? What did you love? Have you read Crescent City? Have you read Crescent City? I want to talk about that. Also, side note about Crescent City, I thought it was set in New Orleans because New Orleans' nickname is Crescent City, and I'm from near New Orleans. So the whole time everyone's been talking about it was like, oh, it's set in New Orleans. It's not set in New Orleans. That's not true. It's fine. It didn't bother me, but I was a little bit or at times because they talk about it like it's an old magical city, and that's sort of the vibe some of New Orleans can have. So I was like, is it? Is it? It's not. It's not. I'm dumb. Turns out there's also a Crescent City in California. It's just a name. It's not an uncommon name. I just did not make that connection. But yeah, anyway, what did you guys think of Crescent City? What did you guys read this month? Did you enjoy it? Have you read Virginia Woolf? If you have, do you have any recommendations for something I might enjoy, knowing I didn't really enjoy Mrs. Dalloway? I would love something, because I don't want to give up on her, but I don't have the patience for another one of those. So any Virginia Woolf recommendations would be great. Thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to check out my May TBR. It was the last video I uploaded. I have a lot I want to try to read in May. I'm not doing great on it, spoilers, but I'm gonna try my best. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.